So speaking of which, let's go into chapter 5, morphing. This is where we start to get the changing the guards in a way. We start being introduced to new character, or I keep saying characters, they're actually real people. We get introduced to new people. One of my favorites is Jean Bolt, Bolte or Bolt? She's the artist who saw the change. I really enjoyed her take on just this whole movement of CG. But we also get introduced to Spaz, Steve Williams, and Mark is it Dippy or Dippe? I'm mispronouncing the names.
Was it Mark?
It was Mark and Spaz. So those are the ones, the Alice Cooper loving party dudes who are just change the world. One's from Alaska, one's from Toronto, and it's just like they start introducing these two like they're a big deal, and they are a big deal. Spaz, there's one thing in this introduction of Spaz that was interesting. They asked him like
the thing you couldn't talk about.
Yeah, well, you're in the military, no, but you're in something that can you talk about? No.
I think we're looking at some kind of Canadian Special Forces right there,
CSIS or something. So we dive into the whole digital revolution and how not only is we have this whole the focus on trying to digitalize editing and trying to use more computer graphics, not just in Star Wars, but in like other movies like Star Trek and such. We're also looking at the difference between the prop people and the computer CG people, and how there's this sort of I can't find the right word, but there's a lot of tension between the two, because the prop people are the big guys. You know, we're doing the important stuff, and you guys are in your little computer office just kind of twiddling around on your keyboard. But Jean sees it. Jean talks about how she sees how everybody's equal. There is no sort of hierarchy in there. Yeah. And she with her artist
she sees it's the way forward, right? She knows it's the way forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she saw that they're both working on the same thing. They're just coming at it from different ways.
Right.
Like that's, I love that. Again, this whole series handled like tension and drama really well. And it didn't overhype it or overblow it. That's like, I hate reality TV for that. I absolutely hate it. Like it's the worst thing on TV ever.
Yeah.
And it's just this overblown manufactured hype.
But it's what people want, which is even more devastating.
It's so disappointing. Like, why do they want it? It's garbage. Anyways, this series handled it really well, where it just put it out there. Just matter of fact, this is a documentary. This isn't reality TV. I loved it for that.
Well, we do see John and Kim, a married couple who met at ILM, and they are talking about the animosity of people taking their jobs, and they don't. Why are they leaving? This is they're infringing on our space, and they're honest about it. And then later spoilers, they themselves move to the computer world, and they take advantage of that, and they.
But I think you're right though. What you say there, I think the impression is that you guys are ruining what we had. Like you guys are responsible for this becoming the new thing. Whereas, regardless of these people moving into it, it's gonna go that way. And that's, some people saw it, some people didn't. And I think going back to, like we said before, and like you said, Rob, with Phil Tippett was very pronounced with saying that he didn't like it, right? He couldn't see it being the way forward. And he was one of those people that really didn't want to see it happening.
Well, that gets into chapter 6.
Right.
I do want to talk
Jurassic Park stuff.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So, but these guys are like, you know what? No, we're going to stick to what we're doing. You're responsible for this, coming crashing down around us. But I think they all realize that it's going to happen regardless if you stay there. If you're the last captain of the ship and there's no ship to sail, now you're going to be behind the times, and it was interesting to watch it happen, and to see the people that.
Sorry, this is the most dramatic it becomes. You talked about reality TV show. This is the closest it comes, and I wouldn't even say it's really close, but we do see the character of Spaz and Mark and how they really change the environment. We get introduced to Ellen Poon, the one from Hong Kong, who basically leaves her, just her and her husband split up so she can chase her dreams in California. And she recognizes the nuts and the pit. They talk about the pit, which is a soundproof room where they partied all the time. You could tell that Lucas, who's been in that pit, he was like, that wasn't his environment. Something about it, because he at one point he says, "Yeah, Spaz is kind of."
Well, you got the guy with the Maple Leafs jersey up on the wall and the Canadian flag. You know what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's brews everywhere. When they showed the picture of just all the cans everywhere left on the shelf, and it probably stayed that way for
table
weeks.
Hockey all over the place. Security coming in taking pictures.
So that was a funny one, man.
I don't know if you caught this, but Spaz, the shirt Spaz was wearing in the documentary, he was wearing that same shirt 30 years ago in another older picture. He was wearing the exact same shirt, that cowboy sort of style. So it was quite funny. I can imagine that it must have been wild. And we talked about this earlier. Atari had this wild environment, and that's what you saw in the first chapter, how these people in ILM were just having a great old time. We're seeing it again, but now certain people are like, well, this isn't the way it should be, and we should be doing it this way. And Tippett's becoming, I think Tippett's becoming one of those people who's just like, oh, this is not the way it should be. And
it's definitely less than professional.
Was it in the same era though? Was it the same years that the gaming industry and ILM were? What's the years between them? Is it the same kind of timeline in the 70s?
Well, 91 was when T2 came out, so I'm guessing it's just the.
But I'm thinking about the progression of the gaming. Was it in the same decades or?
The Atari, that was 70s.
Yeah. So it's the same. So it's the same decades of when these things were growing, and the same environments and the same casual. That's when it all got. That's when it was all exciting, man. And I know things are still happening nowadays, but it's very corporate structured, and I don't know. I think when everything starts off, it's fun and it's awesome, and then when it gets too big, it's not so much.
A while back, we reviewed sneakers, and they talk about how Marty and I can't remember the other character's name. Those two, they were living a life of no rules and breaking the law, hacking in, and it was a life that just was very free for them. Although I guess Kingsley's character just gets caught up in it and gets caught. But so we have that similar idea. It's the 70s, and it's just, let's see what happens and who's going to tell us no. And this is what kind of happens here. We get introduced to Doug Chang and his story, but then we dive into the work they do on Terminator 2 and how it kind of changed. I think this is also where we talk about the abyss as well, right? The water. Yeah. And that's just like, it's amazing that they were just, you can see the revolution happening. And even Gene's recognizing this and is like, you know what? I'm going to change direction with you.
Jamie's probably more into all this stuff than any of us in this kind of computer graphic industry. But even that clip that we saw with the guy with the ponytail and the glasses explaining how you morph pixels into smooth edges. I've watched that.
Lovely.
I've watched that time and time again on that one episode, and I kept going back to see if I could my brain would understand it. And even from that mid 90s explanation, I'm still trying to struggle as to each pixel gets a number, and then you can fiddle around with that pixel number to make it something different. And now it creates, and I'm like, it's there. It's computing, but it's a bit rusty, and
it's brain melting.
It's brain, yes, but it kind of was made a little bit clearer with the identification of that pixel. Oh my god!
I understood the word pixels, sir.
Yeah,
but even then, the computer graphics, you think about it, they're doing on something that you have on a calculator. I mean, our phones now are probably more complex than what they were using, but still, it's just
incredible.
It was the code. They understood the code. So that's what the whole chapter is about, just the computer revolution and just how now they're starting to use computer for digital editing. They're using computers for graphics, and there's starting to be a battle between the two forces of practical effects and digital effects, which is kind of weird that's all they talked about in episode 7, right?
But they're still pushing the envelope. They're still trying to make it better and trying to make it more powerful and trying to do more. And I think that's the one key thing for every episode is you get to where you want it to kind of be, but you're always pushing for it to be more. And that's the constant theme through this thing is they're always being pushed to do more and make it better. Crazy.